So if you want to start recording,
Mm,
okay. And it looks like Agnes is here.
Great.
And were we expecting her to have someone with her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is 7:02 and we have a quorum with we have 5 members here, 5 members of the Historical Commission. So we're opening this meeting of the Amherst Historical Commission on Monday, February 9th, 2026. And in accordance with Massachusetts law, this public meeting and public hearing, the Town of Amherst Historical Commission is being conducted via remote participation. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so via Zoom or telephone. No in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the meetings in real time. A hyperlink to the hearing has been posted on the town's online calendar. I think the first thing that we need to do at this point is have a roll call. So if you guys would unmute and I'll just call in no particular order. Hetty Startup,
Present.
Patricia Oth, I'm not seeing present. Kenzie Lansiddle,
Here.
George Bettinger,
Here.
sorry, Joel Greenbaum,
Here.
and Robin Fordham. I am here as well. So we'll begin by opening the hearing. Walker, do I need a vote to open the hearing?
It's not open. It's already open because we continued it.
Oh,
So
right. Okay. Okay, great. Um, so we are here, I'm just going to read my little preamble here. In accordance with the provisions of Article 3.60 of Amherst General Bylaws, preservation of historically significant buildings, the Amherst Historical Commission is holding this public hearing today, Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 7 p.m. to consider the following demolition application requests. This is, of course, a continuation of hearing from date was January. Sorry, was it the Walker?
Devin,
Thank you. For this is a regarding 80 Southeast Street, applicant Agnes Ting request to demolish a single family home circa 1850. Hearing continued from January 20th. It's in my notes, 2026. Walker, when we have I have my note, I have my little instructions for myself, but since we've already um started a hearing on this, like I have a presentation by the applicants, do we just invite the applicant to speak again?
yeah,
Okay.
why don't, well, yeah, let's let them in and see because I think she has someone with her.
Okay.
If she has anything, I'm gonna let Agnes in. And assuming Tom also wants to come in. Yeah.
Thanks, Walker. Hi, folks.
Hi.
For the record, Tom Reedy, attorney with Bacon Wilson out of Amherst, here with Agnes in her application ultimately for demolition permit for 80 Southeast Street. And I know that you folks had a meeting earlier, January, and I think some of you might have done a site visit.
We
Uh,
did, yep.
okay. I don't know if you want to give a report on that.
Yeah, Joel Greenbaum, Heady Startup, George Baitinger and I did a site visit and we took a look at the inside and the exterior of the building. And I do have the photos ready to share here. Can you provide me with sharing privileges, Walker? And then I figure out where I put that file. I think it's here. No, actually, just have to open the folder, pardon me.
Why is it?
Windows.
Feel like it's set for you to be able to share, but
Okay. I'm just trying to find the folder.
Yep.
Let's walk through here. Okay. So here. Okay. Okay, so hopefully everybody's seeing picture of a beam there.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll just go through the photos that we took and talk a little bit about what we saw. We came in the rear of the building and in the furthest back room, just trying to figure out how to navigate my. I apologize, I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate to that. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. The rear room of the house was framed at the top with these exposed beams, which had trennels or tree nails. They're not structural, but they're evidence of particularly old beams that were probably reused in this part of the house. You can see these are hand-hewn saw marks, so that also dates the materials to a pretty early time period. This was in the original flooring that had been uncovered, or historic flooring that had been kind of covered in the, I think, the main living room area. And we got we got to take a look at the stairs here. Front door, which has got the Greek Revival side lights, and that's a glass storm door there. Pilasters are that's how I pronounce it. Pilasters are that's within the covered porch, but there are also pilaster details on the outside. Again, looking inside the enclosed porch in the front of the building. That's just the roof, the beadboard in the roof there. Ceiling, sorry, ceiling of the porch. These are floorboards from the second floor. My foot is there just to give you a sense of scale. Those are some pretty large boards. They're not consistent in size. This is from the back room upstairs. Again, some very large. The larger the width of the board, generally the older the material. We went into the basement. Sorry, these are a little out of order. This was just a shot of the spindles on the stair that were just interesting because they're not consistent. They're sort of like an inconsistent pattern, which seems to have been purposeful. It's kind of pretty. That's just the front door. You can see the fieldstone foundation there that's topped with brick. I think that's just evidence of more tree nails in those support beams. That's a heating grate that's no longer in service. Again, just the bricks of the foundation. That not a very clear shot. That's just a marble slab that is to the entrance to the rear door. And that's the front of the house. I mean, sorry, the side of the house. That rear garage. Granite facing on the foundation. And that's basically it. So stop sharing there. And so we didn't have we didn't have any discussion at the site visit, but I think that we were taking this opportunity to have more deliberation about the history of the house and whether demolition was warranted. I mean, a demolition delay was warranted at this time. So being able to see the interior and the exterior gave us a little bit more of a sense of context of the history. So Walker, again, just because I'm not used to doing the continuation, I'm not sure. Do we want to just invite comment from Agnes and Tom at this point?
I think it's up to you. You could either start with the discussion of the site visit and comments from the commission, or you can ask them if they have something they want to comment on first.
Okay, I think
Either
that
one
maybe since there was a request to continue that we should have comments from Agnes and Tom at this point. So you want to go ahead?
Sure, take it away, right? Yeah, and so I started talking about this with Agnes a couple of months ago, I think before the first time she was in front of you folks, just to explain the process and what the commission typically looks for. I was unable to meet at that January hearing, so that's really what prompted the request for continuation. And then, I'm pleased that the commission was able to get out on site and to walk through the property and to see it. I mean, my office, I call it the Dickinson Bags Tavern, but I was looking at the East Amherst Local Historic District, and I maybe should be calling it something else at this point. But that remains to be seen. But that's where I practice law every day, have for the past, 14 years. So I drive by this house often, and I've seen the changes over time. I can imagine, when I look back. So obviously the commission knows that there's a push in town. I think there was a hearing in January to designate this area the East Amherst Local Historic District, which with it comes consideration on redevelopment. And that's what Agnes is looking to do here, is to redevelop the property. It's located in the Residential Village Center zoning district. It abuts the commercial zoning district. Just to the south of it is the commercial zoning district all along that corridor. And then from it north to where the intersection with Northeast Street is the RVC, the Residential Village Center, which allows additional density. And so, it's one of those balancing acts where on the one hand, we're trying to have some fidelity to history while also allowing development, redevelopment, thoughtful development, providing housing, et cetera, right? And so, for better or worse, I think the site that we're looking at now has probably, for Agnes, it's at the end of its useful life. And so she's talked to some folks about moving it. One in particular, I'll say Barry. I haven't talked to Barry. Agnes tells me she talked to Barry, and he had no interest in moving it. She thought about it. I mean, if you know Barry, if he can move it, he will. And like I said, I just haven't talked to him about that. So my sense is that this is probably something that is not going to be long for here. And it would be, I would expect, if the local historic district gets passed, which I also suspect that it will, any redevelopment would have to be in line with what the balance of the area looks like, which is probably trying to reach that balance, right? Where we're trying to say, okay, yes, what we have now, let's preserve what we can for posterity, but functionally, how do we use it today and going forward for the next 50, 100, 150, 200 years? And so I think it's just a practical reality of where we are. That area has changed. I know that when I was here for the Northampton Road property for Mr. Zablut, we had looked at what the surrounding area was and what it is today. We could do something similar here. I don't know that it's as drastic as further west on Route 9, but it certainly has changed. You've got Cumberland Farms in the area. You're having additional housing in the area. Route 9 there has become much more commercialized, I think, than it ever was before. And then you've got a brand new school literally a stone's throw. I probably couldn't reach, but a stone's throw from this property. And so you've got those changes that are occurring. And so to a certain extent, this isn't in the smack dab middle where it's surrounded by other houses of similar age. It's at the southerly end. And, if you've looked at, when you drive down, or if you look at Google Earth, you'll see that there's a stand of trees just beyond it, which almost shields the balance of what I would consider like the more historic structures as you move further north from Southeast Street to Northeast Street. Because once you get across Northeast Street, or even, to the right on Main Street, you get more density of those historic structures, Dickinson Bag Tavern included. You start to get to those. And then as you travel up Northeast Street on the left side, you've got, I think, the first post office and some of those older structurally sound houses. And so I think our suggestion would be that the character of this area, the environmental, economic, social, etc., the historic importance of this structure or the area wouldn't be lost with the loss of this structure. And I think just 20 years ago, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But the reality is where we're at in the life cycle of that structure, we're probably at a place where it's not, the imposition of a demolition delay. What does it ultimately do in that balance? I don't know that we find somebody to move it. I doubt it, frankly. Maybe there's a way, if you do authorize demolition, for the preservation of some of the materials. I mean, some of those hand-hewn timbers. Maybe the door. Maybe there are things we can do to preserve the portions that are worth preserving. But just as an aggregate of material in the location where it sits, given what's happened around it, and really just kind of the nature of it, we would request your authorization to demolish.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. So we can start the commission's deliberation. I think there is I think a number of things often come up whenever we have a demolition before us. And one is our objective is to determine whether this structure in its current state would be a significant loss to the fabric of the historic fabric of the town and of this area in particular. We don't delve so much into design of what comes next because we want to consider the building itself and whether the purpose of a demolition delay is to allow more time to see if a resolution can come about that preserves the structure. Sometimes that's moving it, sometimes that's not. When we talk about moving it, we need to consider whether moving the building sufficiently is when a building is moved from its site, and this site in particular being the East Village, which was at a certain point the center of Amherst, would diminish its integrity to the point where it wouldn't be worth moving it as a preservation effort. So those are all things to consider. Do I still have sharing privileges, Walker? I just wanted to pull up the Macros maps just so people can see that the building is at the corner of the National Historic District, which does not have National Register Historic District, which does not have any sort of powers that prevent demolition, but it does give you an idea of kind of how this building anchors that area. So I was just going to share that for a moment. And you can see the pinpoint here. This is the building that we're looking at. And this red area is that National Register District. And then, of course, this is the common itself. And these structures all along here that have been inventoried, including 80 Southeast Street. You can see them on maps going all the way back to 1833, which is probably the date that we're looking at here. I see that, let me stop sharing. I see that Joel has his hand raised, or had his hand raised. Did you want to speak, Joel?
Yeah, I'd like to speak whenever you're ready.
Go right ahead.
Um, I was thinking a little bit outside the box here, and I think that given Governor Healy's initiative to build ADUs by right, I think that Agnes can move forward with her project and save the front portion, the Greek Revival portion of this property. I took some measurements. It's 30 and a half by 22 and a half, 686 square feet. From the inside, it's 615. You're allowed 900. She can keep the stairs to the second floor and add a bedroom and a half bath. That's a small little 2-bedroom house. Take off the porch and take off the rear, and you're left with a really cute and sound Greek Revival ADU. Reintroduce the front doorway, and she'll look like a hero to the preservationists, and she'll be able to move forward with her project. I mean, that I haven't discussed it with the board, but it's just my idea. I have spoken with one of the senior inspectors, and it is doable. So that was just my idea.
Thanks, Joel. I was,
Yeah,
yeah,
it'd
I'm
be a
glad that
really cute building.
I'm glad that you're able to speak to construction possibilities because that's definitely something um, that helps in terms of our conversation heading.
I think I'm very interested to have heard what you say, Tom. And I think if this building wasn't right on the common, we might be having another kind of conversation. But it's one of those little houses that anchors this. It encircles it bounds the common, which is this really historic part of town, and it's one corner of it, and it's a cute house, and it has a lot of really nice things in it, even though it's been a struggle for the owner. It's also a very large lot. When you first started talking, Joel, I thought you were going to suggest that there would be a separate ADU on site, because I know it looks to me almost like a double lot, and it may not be, but it's large. So I think there are real possibilities for it to remain in place. If Barry's not interested, I suspect that there's nobody else in town who would be willing to move it. If if anyone can do it, he can move houses, successfully, for us who are into preservation. And I know he's been on our side as well. So I think there's enough there of interest, and also I do know that the town of Amherst planning department has been considering some pretty major housing for that intersection for Route 9 and for the old school building, which is also on the common. And so Agnes's house could be, one portion of that historic part as the area becomes more dense for housing. And I think that would be a sign of great, it would be a very economically viable area in which to have a really cute historic house, right in the heart of the oldest part of Amherst. So I'm curious about what Joel's proposed. Obviously, I'm also very interested in the fact that the house is inside the bounds of what is proposed for the local historic district commission, and it would be a shame if we lost this building in relation to those efforts that are being conducted right now on behalf of the town. Thanks.
Thanks, Hetty. Yeah, I wanted to add my opinion too, which is I have the same feeling about it being its position. It really anchors this historic center, and it's helpful to have Joel's input in terms of what's possible with the building. Sometimes we struggle with that because most of us aren't in the business of construction, much less rehabilitating old properties. The one thing that I was going to mention also as a possibility for redevelopment, not that I suggest that it's an easy process at all, but properties on the National Register are eligible for tax credits in their redevelopment. So that is a possibility for some funding that might offset some aspect of things. But the larger issue for me, I would not like to see this building moved as a solution because I think that it's really important where it's situated. I know that it's quite a diminutive house, and sometimes those smaller houses don't get as much attention because they're not quite as appealing to the public eye. But going on site really showed I think the members that were there, and through the pictures you can see that the historic detail is really maintained and really represents that time period. So those are my feelings.
Can I ask a question, particularly of what Joel had said? So, you know,
Sure.
I've been in front of this commission and other commissions enough to understand what I'm hearing, I think. And so I just want to unpack a little bit. Joel, so you had suggested that the front space building is probably a fine footprint to build the what I would assume is ultimately going to be like a 900 square foot space, right? Would it be your idea that the commission would authorize demolition of the back half? Because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk to Agnes, you know, because I'm somewhat seeing the writing on the wall to say, here's what it is. It is obviously not a prohibition, but it's a delay. But if there's a way to incorporate this front piece, take down the back piece, and then because the plans that I've seen from Agnes for future development really puts the building kind of smack dab in this footprint. And, you know, I could imagine, I guess, either having a standalone ADU and then a separate building. And the building would have obviously, because it would, I think, be at least a 3 unit. So then you're talking about sprinkler and fire monitoring and all those other things, where if you were to connect it to this building, then it would be difficult to renovate it to a place of making it viable, right? So that's, I just want to, because I can appreciate the suggestion. I just want to make sure I'm understanding exactly what it is.
Joel, go ahead.
The back portion of the building, which to me does not seem to have as much historical significance, would come off. And the front porch would come off. So the front doorway would be completed. The back would probably have to be, re-sided. I think the kitchen doorway would become an exterior door. The existing chimney would come down because there's no more fossil fuels. But it could just be an incredibly cute house. And the little portion of foundation would just have to get re-bricked. That used to go into the crawl space of the L, which would be removed. It would not be attached to her proposed construction, which I thought she said was further back on the lot. It's just an idea. I mean, I can't speak for the commission, but I think it's a good idea.
Robin,
Yep.
it's Pat. I'm on my phone.
Oh, hi,
and
Pat.
I was muted for the first couple minutes of the meeting, and so I've been rather quiet here. But I'm fascinated with the proposals, and the idea that any combination of them could maintain this house in place. And so I think it's good work on the part of the Historic Commission to put these proposals out as a possibility for the owner to consider, and for us to consider in terms of how we handle the demolition request.
Thank you, Pat. I'm going to share one more image here, just because it might help with what Joel is discussing. This is a 1950 Sanborn map. Can you all see that? That shows the footprint of the house. There's a D and then a 1 and an A. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So so that D area, that's the 2-floor, or well, it's actually, you can see on the map here just barely. It's the one, that's the 1.5 floor portion of the building. That 1 is where we entered the building. That's the 1-floor kitchen, and then this auto area is the garage at the back. So Joel, are you talking about preserving this D section, that original 1.5 story section?
Correct, without the porch.
Okay. Well, without the porch, removing the porch and exposing opening up the door
The
again.
facade, yeah. Yeah, it would look wonderful.
Could the porch remain if it was
It
decided to
could.
keep it?
It could, but the problem with that is the porch would be included in the 900 feet.
I'm not sure
Okay.
that it would.
Well,
Yeah.
you would know better than me.
I think it's gross
Definitely.
living area, and that's how people have worked to big garages, big porches, big decks. It makes the house feel bigger.
Okay.
But if that's now I understand where the limitation was coming from, and not necessarily the facade exposure, which sounds like it would be nice, but I just, all of this, even to consider this, means spending more money on this building, and so it's just thinking through what that actually looks like.
It would cost some money for sure, but she would have a nice return as well.
What would you do about the beams in the far back room, Joel, that we thought were pretty old? I mean, would that be something that could be offered as sort of recycled material for resale?
I don't know. It wouldn't play a part in renovating the front portion of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as, I'm going to assume that the porch was at some point not enclosed.
Right.
Probably from what, not sure if their building permit records would show when that was closed in. That might be helpful, but I'm looking at another map from 1873 that just does show that rear L extension. So we have a footprint for the rear that goes back at least to 1873. But it's not clear. It's not as clear as the Sanborn maps, but they don't sample this area that far back. So Walker, I don't think we've had a demolition request. We tend not to delve into redevelopment of a property in specifics. I mean, clearly these are some great suggestions about preserving what is the essential historic structure of the building, but I'm not sure how we would go forward with a vote.
I think you would simply vote to issue the delay, and then the redevelopment would be part of the conversation you would have with the homeowner afterwards.
Okay.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Condition that you require them to at least try to participate in the conversation, but I don't think you can condition that they follow some specific redevelopment
Okay.
you're
Okay.
suggesting.
So we would.
Could I just add one thing? Just for predictability, understanding that this is the constitution of the board or commission rather currently.
Mhm.
So if you issue the delay and then the next thing you know, we're back in front of here in 6 months and it's a different commission, and then everybody says, no. After Agnes has spent money to design the site, towards this end, actually, no, keep the whole building, right? Something like that. So if the motion is to have the demolition delay attached to that front portion of the building. That may at least allow, so I can say to Agnes, they said you could take down the back. You have a choice, right? You can either wait the X amount of months. I'd advocate for shorter. I know what you're probably going to say, but I'd still advocate for shorter. And you can either wait and then take the whole thing down and see what else you can do, or if you want to get going, you can take the back piece down and work your way through the rest of it. So that would be my suggestion.
Walker, I'm going to lean on you for guidance on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up the bylaw maybe and see if it had anything specific about that.
Because otherwise, it sounds like we would actually be voting to permit a portion of demolition as opposed to delaying. I mean, that's,
I can't recall we've ever done that, at least not
No.
in my time.
Yeah, I
I
think
think it wasn't a request for a portion, it was a request for the full demolition. So, George, did you?
the motion would be to issue the demolition delay for the period, with the understanding that you would work with the owner to come up with a compromise. And if you did, that the demolition would be shorter, but I don't think you can specify like a portion of the building.
Okay. Joel? And then George.
What are you asking for, Rob, in my opinion?
Oh, your hand is up. I thought you had a comment.
Oh, that hand. I'm sorry. Lowering the hand.
Okay, George.
Yeah, I would imagine that, if we do a delay, like Walker was saying, that, it's a delay on everything because we can't really decide. You might get an engineer in there and they may say, no, the back part is really the stable part that you should be keeping, or, so I just think, if we're going to vote for a delay, it's a delay to explore Joel's idea and a lot of other ideas to keep that building on site, because one of my feelings is that moving it, I wouldn't really be happy with moving that one because of the context. I think, that we're looking at that being a historic district and that house is being on the border and part of it for particular reasons. And so I think that's why we need to really seriously consider getting a delay, so that we can figure out what we really want to do here.
So Walker, do you want to suggest well, so if we make a motion to delay for a certain period of time, the contingency would be, how would we construct the contingency language?
If
That
the applicant and the commission could reach an agreement on a plan to preserve a portion of the building, perhaps,
Okay.
or to incorporate a portion of the building into the new design, something like that, then the delay could be lifted early.
Okay. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any more comments? Does everybody understand the nature of what
Can we
doing?
specify that it's the 1.5 story portion of the building in terms of massing, that's the most significant part?
I mean, I'm guessing that would be useful given Tom's comments about, the potential for the commission
It
to
makes it more
change.
specific
Yeah,
and clear. And I'm hearing that, Tom, you're looking for that kind of, yeah.
Okay. Walker, I don't want to go out of turn here. Do we need public comment at this point before we?
Yeah, you should do public comment before you take a vote.
Okay. So, do commissioners want to deliberate any further? No? Okay, then we will open it up to public comment. So if you're a member of the public and you would like to make a comment at this point, please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. And I see Hilda. Can you let Hilda in, Walker?
I just wanted to add that in other places you have noted that a typical house like from the 30s should be saved, particularly the ones on Belchertown Road I'm thinking of. And this little house is sort of typical of what would have been a home business or a craftsman that had a shop there. And there aren't very many of them left. And that's another reason to save that house, if it's possible.
Thank you, Hilda. Okay, if there are any other members of the public that would like to make a comment, please raise your hand at this time. And so I'm not seeing any more hands, so we can come back to the commission, and if somebody wants to take a stab at constructing a motion to put forward.
So I move that we that we impose a demolition delay of 12 months or earlier, with the stipulation that the 1.5-story portion of the home be preserved in relation to any future plans for the site.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have further deliberation? Further discussion? Okay, so without further discussion, we can go ahead to the vote. So the motion before us is the imposition of a 12-month demolition delay with a release of delay contingent upon a design approved by the commission that would preserve the 1.5-story front portion of the historic building. So with that, I will do a roll call vote. Hetty Startup.
I vote yes.
George Bainger.
Yes.
Joel Greenbaum.
Yes.
Kenzie Lancetal.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So we have
Robin,
Do you want to include Pat?
sorry, Pat is
Robin,
still there too. Thank you.
that's all right. It's sight unseen, although I'm very attentive. I also vote yes.
Okay. So it's unanimous for demolition delay with release upon an approved design that preserves the first 1.5 stories of the building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Good
Thanks for
discussion.
coming.
Of course.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. With that, we need to close the hearing with the vote. Walker, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So I need a motion to close the hearing, or do I just take a vote?
Motion.
Okay. Do I have chair will entertain a motion to close the hearing for demolition request for 80 Southeast Street?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, and take a roll call vote. Hetty Startup,
Aye.
George Bainger,
Aye.
Joel Greenbaum,
Aye.
Kenzie Lancetal,
Aye.
Pat Oth,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. So the public hearing is now closed. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so now we're moving on to the public meeting portion of our meeting. First item on
Just
the
very quick, Robin.
Sorry.
Sorry.
That's okay.
My internet keeps blinking in and out, and I keep everybody freezes. So if I drop out, I made you the co-host, so the meeting wouldn't just.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
Mhm.
We can't lose you, Walker.
You'd be fine.
I guess the hard part's over. So we have approval of meeting minutes. So the first set of meeting minutes, December 15th, 2025. Is there any discussion around those meeting minutes? No? The chair will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted for December 15th, 2025. Anyone feel free to say so moved.
Not
So
hard.
moved.
It's 2 words.
I think it was that Joel. Joel, did you say so moved?
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Kenzie, seconds. So we're going to take a vote on the December 15th minutes. Hetty.
I agree. I think we should pass the minutes. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
George.
Aye.
Joel.
Aye.
Pat.
I just have one question though, Robin. I read
Sure.
them.
Mhm.
And no, I missed one of those meetings, so I don't know which one I have to abstain on. 'Cause I
Oh,
can't
well,
see it.
you can just abstain from both if you're not sure. I don't think it'll be too much of a controversy.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Kenzie. Is that an aye, Kenzie?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, that's everybody, right, Walker? Okay, so we've approved the the minutes for December 15th. Now the chair will entertain a motion. That's your cue. To approve the meeting minutes for January 20th, 2026.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Aye.
Second.
Second, okay. George says I will count it as a second. Any discussion on the January 20th minutes? No? Okay, I will go to a vote. Joel?
Aye.
Bruni- Okay, George?
Aye.
Pat, you're abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, Hetty?
Yes.
Kenzie?
Aye.
And I vote aye also, so that with that vote, we approve the minutes for January 20th, 2026. Second item on the agenda is announcements, and under announcements, I'm going to give a brief report from the conclusion of this almost conclusion, but conclusion of the CPAC round and the historic preservation projects. It was a very big year for historic preservation projects. The Civil War memorial tablets, the full request of $75,000 was approved. Simeon Stronghouse, full request of $275,148 was approved. This was approved by the CPAC committee, which will send its recommendations to the town council. Town council will have final say. The town hall slate roof, the full request of $1 million was approved. That one was put into bonding, which means the money will be borrowed over time. The Mill River Historical Survey, partial request of 75,000. 40,000 of that requires the production of 36 Form B inventory forms on exit properties in the area. North and South Cemeteries, partial request, $50,000. And the Goodwin Church, the decision on the Goodwin Church proposal was tabled to allow the applicant more time to respond to questions from the town and represent in front of the committee at a later date. We put 48,000, which was their request amount, into reserve, which just basically means we kept that funding open so that they can come back to us and we can draw on it if we decide to approve their proposal. And then finally, the Jones Library, a partial request of $477,000. It was limited, I believe it was limited to the interior woodwork, but don't quote me on that. Any questions or comments about CPA funding? Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. So we will go back to the public for general comment. And if I can get my little window up here, if anyone in the public would like to make a comment at this point, please raise your hand and you will be recognized. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, so we're going to move on to, I don't quite get that window to go. Final agenda item is unanticipated items 24 hours before, 24 hours before the meeting. 48 hours, okay. we had talked in the past about and had developed a list of mid-century properties that we were interested in surveying. The project has gone to Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. Shannon Walsh was looking for feedback from us. I did finally get some time to spend with that list today, and I forwarded it to Walker. Let me see if I have, if I can pull my Excel spreadsheet up. Um, I can share. So, the list we had developed included, is everybody seeing my Excel spreadsheet there?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Had included some significant large apartment buildings, some civic structures, schools, fire station, library, community center, one commercial building, the bank, present day Bank of America building. And then a couple more institutional buildings, the Stavros Center and the Morgan House. And then one church, the Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and then a bunch of residential buildings. And to the residential list, I added a number of buildings that are Usonian design. They're basically defined by, we started with the Redgate Lane ones, and they're defined by flat roofs and single story structures, generally carports as opposed to garages. And I added a few to this list. And looking over these properties, my suggestion to the commission was to begin by focusing on these residential Usonian structures that are scattered around town. So we have Hills Road and Redgate Lane, the Hills Road and Redgate Lane area. There are also, I noticed recently a couple on Pomeroy and West Pomeroy Lane. There's one off of Southeast Street. There's one on Meadow Street directly across from townhouses. And there's a white one on East Pleasant Street, and then there's one kind of tucked up on Market Hill Road. And they all, I got the construction dates from the assessor's office, which when you're talking about old buildings is unreliable information, but when you're talking about new ones, it's actually quite reliable. They're all from this 1950s period. And then in addition to that, there is one house on Blackberry Lane, which is something called Tech Built, which was a type, I think it was a type of prefabricated housing. I thought it would be a good idea to focus in this 1950s era, which would include those houses and the Emmanuel Lutheran Church. I also thought it would be a good idea to look at documenting Wildwood and Fort River, the two twin elementary schools, which are going to be demolished soon. And then I think apart from that, apart from that, I'm not sure what our priorities are in terms of what we want to see makes it into Macris with a defined history. One of the things that I've been kind of learning as I go along in this profession is to strategize over what you dedicate your resources towards documenting. So what's the reasoning behind putting that money forward? So is it in this case, I'm sort of arguing for, in particular, these 1950s houses are a departure in Amherst from kind of our standard colonial architecture that we see all over town. These more modern buildings stand out, and they're spread out, and so we could be looking at potential for demolition requests, or if somebody wanted to add a second story or something like that. And then obviously documenting the elementary schools, which we know are going to be gone soon. And then I was just thinking about like the civic structures within that 1970s period. I did notice on the Bank of America building that while it has a 1968 construction date, it was remodeled in 2008. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what that remodeling was, but that one did not rise to the top of my list. So the green things that you see here are the buildings that I thought we should focus on. So with that all said, oh, and I left the Munson Library off because it sort of falls outside of the more mid-century modern design. It's not as modern. It's not a modern style. It's kind of built within that period, but not an architectural departure. So with that, if you folks want to comment. Oh, come on, Hetty. I know you want to say something.
Oh, well, I spent a bit of time today, Robin, not long enough, just scribbling, well, as it were, on your spreadsheet, anything I could add to your list. And sort of, as I used to manage a Usonian house, I think strictly speaking, you can't call a building a Usonian if it isn't designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. You might say that it was inspired by the Usonian style. So I think we have to be a bit careful about that.
Okay, and actually, as I was dashing this out in the morning, that was very much a question I had.
No
Yeah,
worries.
right.
It's all,
Right.
it's all to be deep TBD.
Right.
The house on Meadow Street really intrigues me because you can drive by there and it's like a double take. It looks like it could be a Usonian, but I need to pluck up enough courage to go and bang on the door and talk to them and just ask them, about the history of the building, because I think that really does look like a Usonian. It's not by Frank Lloyd Wright. The only Frank Lloyd Wright house in Massachusetts is in Amherst, and it's already on the National Register. It's
Yeah.
the
It actually, it doesn't have an up-to-date Macros form, but because it's already on the National Register, it's been conferred sort of the highest.
And it's also from 1940, so we're looking at really the post-World War II period, and I think I really love the fact that you're thinking about prioritizing portions of this that are vulnerable for various reasons. I think the most significant neighborhood of housing is probably Redgate Lane and Hills Road on this list. And then there are some individual houses that are really, really interesting, like the Flat Hills Road house by the New Zealand architect Maurice Smith. And there's a house on Southeast Street, sort of set back from the road, that's also of this time period, but I don't know the name of the architect. I do know the owners. So we have some managing, I think. Do we want to have Sharon work on a sampling of buildings in different categories so that we at least have some representation of civic, commercial, residential, educational, multi-story buildings like the Anne Whalen and the Clark House. I think all of those things should be considered, and that's about as far as I've got with this.
Walker, you saw my email regarding, what do we have, $15,000. So this is, I'm just going to do my math here. So the preparation of standard B form when you get a grant through MHC and their survey and planning runs about $300 a form. That's definitely a low number. It's, you know, it's low. It's on the low end. But if we were to bump that up to $600 a form, we'd be looking at 25 properties. And so the question is that I'm not sure how we are engaging with PVPC and what our directive is to them. Do we just tell them that we're going to tell them the properties that we want them to
Yeah,
decide?
that's the process we're in now, is the getting a priority list for them.
Okay,
So,
okay,
so
all
they
right.
can get as far down as priority list as possible with the budget, or we can say we just want these particular buildings done.
Okay. I mean, the other option, I didn't really address this as much because I didn't necessarily see them as kind of rising to the level. There are all these areas like where I live in Echo Hill or the Pine Grove condos. Those could be area forms.
Yeah.
But I don't feel a lot of development pressure in those areas. Not as concerned about alterations, and there's such a large number. Whereas these, well, I don't know. You can help me with my style reference, Hetty. I mean, there's so many different, well, there are different kinds of mid-century modern houses. I mean, you go further down Hills Road, you get this, they're more like modified raised ranches with modernist kind of detailing, which is a whole different kind of style. I just don't know what they're called. What they're called. I put Usonian there because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are two-story. Not that there are a few Usonians that are two-story. I think that it's possible that you could build a case for a very nice area form for that part of town. And I think there are owners in that area. I know some of them who are really interested in the history of their homes and like the fact that they've still got the original drawings in some cases by the architect or the person who built the house. So I think that's a place where we'll have the most interest and cooperation, I would say. And then there are these other ones that are sort of sprinkled around. And it's possible that it doesn't isn't there such a thing as a non-contiguous nomination, at least?
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking at I mean, that's a good question. And I don't know my facts well enough, but we're just looking at we're not looking at well, I don't know. I don't know what we're looking at in terms of like moving things forward for NR nomination. I mean, the thing about NR nomination is that it really requires a lot of effort to go in that direction. And so you kind of have to have a reasoning behind it. We want to get put on the National Register because then that'll get us on the state register, and both those things confer access to a lot of funding sources. So I guess my question is, how do we decide? I mean, I think I only have 19 properties here. I was talking about a list of 25. How do we go forward in terms of finalizing this list, Walker? Is it fine for Hetty and I as the subcommittee to sort of meet after this meeting and make a final decision? Yeah, okay. Walker's you're muted, but you're giving me the yes nod. Okay.
I think that's fine.
Okay, all right. So is that okay, Hetty?
That's fine.
We'll try to turn it around quickly, Walker, but I think we've made good progress here. We might want to do a little walk through the Hills area, because I know there are some houses here that aren't on that list, and we could go from there. Other members of the commission, do you have any comments or questions or curiosities here?
It's Pat Roth. I think that we're heading in the right, and I think, Robin, if you and Hetty prioritize the list you're most familiar with it, that makes a lot of sense. And then we can move forward to have those properties listed, evaluated, whatever we do next.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Okay,
Sounds good.
okay, yep. And with that, I think the next thing we just need to decide on our next meeting date. And I know, Hetty, you said you had some issues with Mondays, so we may have to revisit the calendar here and.
I know that we're all pretty busy people, and it really would help to, is there ever a way to schedule meetings out, maybe 3 or 4 months, so that, we're in February now. My last month on the commission will be June. So we have March, April, May, June. We have sort of, if it's possible, I will be available Monday holidays, but I'm not going to be available on Mondays. I can go on site visits and I can work on the mid-century modern stuff, but I'm going
We
forward.
have a date that works, I mean, a day of the week that works for you, Hetty?
Any other night.
Okay.
So you could say that you're going to meet, say, the first and third Tuesdays of every month or something, and just have it set on the calendar. And then if there's nothing on the agenda, you don't have to actually hold the meeting, but at least that way the dates would be set ahead of time.
Yeah, I can see that being, really helpful for people who, are sort of wondering, are we meeting this Monday or when?
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I know it's been complicated with the continuing of the public hearing for the House, but I think, yeah, that would really help.
Okay, so Kenzie, Joel, and George, are there days of the week that do not work for you? And feel free to unmute yourself to let me know.
I coach at Mount Holyoke College Wednesday and Thursday nights
Okay,
until I don't normally get home until around 8 o'clock.
okay,
So those are the only 2 days, but they should be wrapping up their season by end of April.
okay.
And I have meetings periodically on Thursday nights, not every month.
Okay.
So what does Tuesday like for everybody?
Sorry, Pat?
Tuesday? I'm wondering what Tuesday night looks like for folks.
It's not ideal for me, but I can make it work.
Offering a thought.
Yeah. So we're down to Tuesday and Friday at this point. And I'm
And
going to guess that most
Fridays are
people
not a preference.
don't want to meet Friday. Okay, so
Robin, some
Yep.
Tuesdays better than others.
no, I'm always in Boston on Tuesday.
Uh,
So I can do it. I can do it for I mean, I'm also only on the commission through June, so it's 3 more meetings for me. 4 more meetings.
I received a letter last June from the town manager saying that my term had ended. And then within a week, I got another letter saying it's extended for this year. So I think I end in June also.
Okay, yes, that's correct. Yep, that's right. Yeah, we should be thinking about that too. The 3 of us
Yeah, in fact,
dropping off.
yeah, I need to notify the town manager's office who's going to be staying and who's going to be leaving and how many vacancies we'll have. So.
Okay.
So there's 3 of us that will be leaving.
Yes. Yep. And then we were actually, I don't know if you had timed out, Hetty. I wasn't supposed to be here either. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, we're looking at March. We're looking at a Tuesday in March.
Tuesday in March. Okay.
We could do the first Tuesday of the month. We could do the second Tuesday of the month. That'd be Tuesday the 10th would be a month from now, pretty much.
Tuesday the
work?
10th. Yep.
Okay, and then we could do
The 20.
That would be the second Tuesday of the month going forward for April,
Yeah.
May, and June.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Okay.
First Tuesday of the month, the 10th, the 7th, and the 5th.
Sorry, second Tuesday of the month.
So the
Yes.
March 17th.
What would
Whatever that
be-
is. Yeah.
So April would be
Oh yeah, March
the
10th.
14th. The 14th.
Okay, yeah.
And then May would be the 12th. And June would be the 16th.
The 9th, I think.
Sorry, the 9th. You're right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Walker. Yep. Great. Thanks, guys. That's very
Okay.
helpful.
Before we go, if I can jump back into unanticipated items, I drove by the property, well, I drive by it all the time, the property on Route 9, the yellow house, which is currently under demolition delay. I don't know, Amherst College is the owner. I don't know when its expiration date is, but we are looking at a property that's going to get demolished that we put a delay on, seeking that it not be demolished. And I don't know if anybody has any ideas, particularly since we've heard so much talk of moving buildings and redeveloping buildings, but if anybody has any ideas or thoughts about putting the word out there to see if there's anything that we could do to save that building, particularly in its site. I think it's pretty site specific, but it's also pretty special with all its exterior detailing and that big barn behind it. And it's not long for this world if an alternative isn't brought forward.
That's the Northampton Road house, right, Robin?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
How
for
long has that
reminding
been
us.
sitting like that?
How long has it been under demolition delay?
Yeah, or sitting empty,
Oh,
presumably unheated.
yeah, it's I don't know, but it's got a lot. That'd be another one I'd love to do a site visit on, even if
Yeah.
before it's
Is that
demolished.
something we can get into? Oh, they won't let us in, will they?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, food for thought. Be in touch if you have any ideas.
Was that the one that, no, it was the other one that you had asked for a form on, right?
Yes, the
Did
Dakin.
ask for a form on that one, maybe. Yeah, it's a really nice house. I think we asked for one on
the Dakin
Dakin estate
property,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from Amherst College, but
Okay, well, maybe put that on the
Shocker.
agenda for next month so that we can
Mhm.
follow up on it because we certainly want to make sure that they fulfill their obligations to
yeah.
document as well. But yeah. Okay.
Robin, under this category, I just want to make an announcement that the North Church in Amherst is celebrating its 200th anniversary come June, and they're going to have a sort of open house day and a big Korean meal. It's managed by, it's called the Zion Church,
Yep.
the Nazarenes, and in my capacity as a trustee or member of the District 1 Neighborhood Association, we've been approached to help them remember the history of the building through the Mill River Project. So I just wanted to make that, a save the date for the calendar. I think it's the 6th of June.
Okay. Thanks, Hetty.
With any luck, they'll have their new roof by then.
Would be great. Yeah.
Is something happening there?
Yeah, they have a contract now with a contractor.
Oh, okay,
So
great.
we're basically
Awesome.
waiting on the weather at this point.
Okay, wonderful.
Wonderful news,
Cool.
Walker.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
Can we adjourn?
I
Do you
believe
need a
so.
motion?
No, I
Lauren?
don't think we even need a motion. It's
Okay.
8:15. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next month. Okay. Good work.
Thank you all. Good
Take
night.
care.